What's up, everybody? Welcome to Out of Left Field, the talk show where we talk everything Extreme Wiffleball Organization, and everything you need to know going into this upcoming season. My name's Will Carroll. I'm here with Jonathan Hargis, Alex Molendine, and Matthew Vall. We're going to be talking about the draft that happened a few days ago, what to look forward to in the next coming days, especially with games, and what to look back on from our spring training and our prospect scouting. So I'll give my guys the floor here for some extra added comments. Throw some stuff out there, and we'll get this ball rolling.
Yeah, to be honest though, I'll be honest right now. The draft wasn't exactly the best, but I had fun. Sure, it was dry as hell, but people still came, people still showed up. We still had a grand, wonderful time. John was there, Matthew was there. We were all there. John was a great man. He did great in that day for just being a draftee,
Yeah.
which is wonderful.
Well,
Now
thank
Matthew,
you.
on
I
the other.
was uh, I was actually not drafted. I was picked up by Will in the very, very first round, so I was grateful for that. So,
Yeah, man, you're a keeper, bro. You're a hot man, dude.
well, thank you.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. No problem.
So let's touch on that topic real quick. So the draft was this last Wednesday, 5 p.m. start time on Wednesday the 13th. We kicked it off with some announcements to start as people were walking in, getting some interviews based on their outfits. Really, really fun stuff. And then we kicked it off with our keeper round, where the O Block Dominators, Mystic Paladins, and the Texas Ice, each kept a player, and I would say a little bit of surprise there, in the sense that didn't really see Texas Ice keeping Jack Flanagan. I feel like Austin Abney was there. Jack didn't play at all last season. I was surprised by the pick a little bit. You wanna touch on that a little bit more, Alex?
I the reason I really kept Jack Flanagan was just because from what we've seen in practices as of late with me and you, with our little 4-on-4 we did, or a 5-on-5,
Mm.
whatever one it was. I saw some real prodigy in him with hitting and how he's able to just get that ball on the ground and able to get to first base, even though he's never really played wiffle ball and or baseball in years. So
Mm.
that's why I chose I could see just a prodigy's eye in him.
Yeah, I got
But
you.
I see you picking John again. What's the
Yeah,
rule with that?
so I think the idea, my strategy going into the draft was we want to we had a great season last year, and I think we wanted to replicate that by by going in and kind of bringing people back that were on the team last year that played well, and then building on our weaknesses from last year. So bring in John, very huge, because I mean he played great last year, and it's just great to have like a counterpart like that on the team to kind of get the ball rolling. And speaking of getting the ball rolling, let's start talking about these teams as a whole. I think no better place to start than our new franchise organization, the Bikini Bottoms, captained by Justin Phillips. Um, so looking at that team's draft board, so Justin, obviously the captain, MVP of last year's season, played phenomenally. Um, Varsity baseball player, all around athlete. I mean, you can't really go wrong with the captain choice there. But then you see the picks, and the picks, it almost seems like too good to be true. So, looking at his first round pick, goes with Chase Manigold. Um, Very surprising pick due to the fact that most people didn't know who he was going into the draft, other than a few scouts, few teams, and ultimately goes off the board at one, which not a lot of people expected that to happen. Uh, then around the bend, they take Jacob Solella, another very surprising pick in the sense that Jake played great last season, and I really like the pick. But seeing him go in the first round, a lot of people didn't see that coming. But there's a vision with this team. Then Carter Sabaka, somebody who opted out of spring training, so we didn't get much look on this guy, comes in, gets drafted, and then Lucas Macon in the Rule 5 draft, a phenomenal pickup, played great last season. And I think this team's built really well. I think they drafted well. I just feel like there's a lot missing here that we could probably touch on a little bit. Anybody want to pick up from there?
Yeah, man. I yeah, I think all those picks are great, man. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I mean, Jake Solella was kind of right, like kind of out of nowhere. I didn't think Justin Phillips had it in him to pick him. I don't know what John's or Matthew's thoughts are on this, but I'd love to hear what John's got to talk about this pick from Justin.
Yeah, I think that was the right pick at where he took Jake. I was actually a little bit disappointed that he took Jake because I kind of wanted him for our team ourselves because he's a good player overall. Just good worker, shows up, plays hard. So yeah, that was a good pick on Justin's behalf.
Yeah. I think if you look at their board, I think what's most surprising is who they took based on how little information we had on these guys. Number 1, Chase Manigault, and number 3, Carter Sabaka. Both guys, a lot of people in the league didn't know coming to this. They're rookies, didn't play last season, both of which opted out of spring training, so we weren't able to watch them and get anything to build off of in their games. So it was kind of blind picks. It was kind of built on what's the athleticism there, what's the experience, and ultimately Justin Phillips felt like it was in his best interest to go with the guys that are prospects more than the guys that are experienced. And maybe that works out for him. Chase Manigault's an athlete. Carter Sabaka is very athletic. And then pairing him with a veteran like Jacob Solella and somebody who can pitch like Lucas Macon is great. But I feel like having those guys that are solely prospects, especially taking one at number 1, what's the impact there?
I can see maybe like, I see the vision. I see what he truly is trying to go for. I see how he wants to see how they play in the first game. I mean, we had trades right off the bat. That little man, Dragan, he wanted to take Matthew Vall for Justin Kemp. That's crazy. I don't know why I would do that, but of course I didn't. I want to keep my boy Matthew. I trust him as a player. He's a good player. And it's just the vision between all of those prospects and that one, maybe the 2 veterans, if you want to consider Justin, as he's a captain. But I see that he wants to lead by example, and he wants to show these prospects what they can do and probably reach their potential while playing the game. You know how John, did wonderfully last year. He did so well, and that was just because he was on, the O Block Dominators, captained by Will, and they all led by example. So I believe that's the route that Justin's gonna pick.
Yeah. I also want to point out like one of the major flaws with this team, and I don't know how impactful it's going to be this team going on. I feel like a lot of these teams, one thing that they greatly lack right now that can definitely be improved throughout the year is pitching. And I think there's one thing that Justin got lucky with is taking Lucas Macon, like Lucas Macon being there in the end of that Rule 5 draft. Being available for him to pick up because Lucas Macon, I mean, you look at the stats last season, he led the league in strikeouts, in ERA. Like, we got it right here. Lucas Macon had a 2.422 ERA and 22 innings pitched with 49 strikeouts. Led the league in almost every pitching stat, and then comes in and hits 528 batting average. With 16 RBIs and ultimately like a phenomenal pick being there at the spot and bring something that team that they're going to need, which is the starting pitching. But then you look at it and you look at their rotation, and it's Justin Phillips, who his entire game at pitching is that right arm fastball, and then Lucas Macon, who's going to have to carry a lot of the load at that starting pitcher position, And then behind them, it's like they have no bullpen. They have no closer. Um, if you look at how this lineup's built, Jake Solella, we saw it last season. He's not really someone you want to trust in that pitcher position. Chase Manigault, he's a rookie. He's a prospect. We can't expect that guy to come in and get crucial minutes at the pitcher position. And same with Carter Sabaka. So, like, you look at this team, you have Justin Phillips and you have Lucas Macon, and those are your two starters. And because of how it's going to work with load management, one of them gets to start a game, and then you gotta rest the other one. So where's the rest of that pitching coming from? You can't have them play the whole game. And I feel like that could probably be their downfall throughout their season if they don't find someone on their team to be that kind of relief pitcher closer for that team.
Yeah, you know, you bring up some good points about how you can't just have them all play all day, for both games, but I could see definitely probably Lucas going all the way through with it. I feel like he's going to be their heavy pitcher for the end, Jake Solola as a cover up for, second or first, it it depends on how Jake's feeling, to be honest, because he says, "Oh, I'm a great pitcher," and then depending on the day, I mean, it just really depends on how each of them are feeling that day. If Justin's feeling good, he'll pitch good. But if he's feeling bad and not in the mood, then who the fuck's gonna bother with that shit? Like it's kind of really dumb about how they're gonna go about that situation. We can't just put Jake Solella in the middle of pitching when Justin's having a bad mood. Because if you do that, then you're running out of pitchers already. Then you'll just have Lucas and then some prospect that has never pitched before. So I don't really see the vision with this one, but I mean, it'll work probably. It's a good team setup. I see it, but the synergy just needs to be better.
Yeah, and I think this is a good opportunity for us to move on to our next team, the Mystic Paladins, coached by Dragan Thompson. They draft Dominic Carosa, somebody who is very experienced in the Extreme Wiffleball Organization. Jack Malashi, a rookie that we have no idea experience-wise other than his athleticism. Justin Kemp, same situation. The height is there. We know the profile, but we don't know because both Jack Malashi and Justin Kemp, they're rookies this season, both opted out of spring training. And then Chase Carollo coming in at that last spot, someone who played well last season. We saw him in spring training. We saw that pitching has gotten better. He's become to the point where now he is a suitable option at that bullpen, maybe closer position. And there's potential there with this team. And to kind of roll into that, we brought in a special guest here, captain of the Mystic Paladins, Dragan Thompson. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Will?
I'm doing great. So tell us,
real quick-
Oh, sorry.
No, don't worry. I just wanted to say this at the end of your thing. I didn't realize you talked to Dragan. Hey, Dragan, what's up, man?
What's up?
So this is kind of my point of view on that. I kind of Chase. I mean, I could see him being a closer, but that closing's gotta be hella good though, because the things he was pitching weren't good, and the only reason people were swinging were because it was just like there and it was slow, and they thought they could nail an absolute bomb, But I'm sure Dragan's got some tricks up his sleeve for this season, so I'd love to see his point of view on this from him himself.
Dragan, run us through what was the thought process at the draft? Why did you make the selections you made? And then what's the strategy like going into this season to help you guys succeed?
Well, first off, starting with the draft, obviously we picked up Dominic. Dominic has the speed. Dominic has he's easy to train. I tell him what to do, and he just does it. He has that synergy with the team, and that's why I obviously wanted to keep him. Second pick ended up being Jack Malashi. Now, Jack Malashi may be a rookie, but he does have a small background on baseball. He has about 4 years in his maybe 10 to 14 years old. I think he played a little bit of baseball. So that's why I picked up him. I might warm him up on pitching. He might be our pitcher, but we'll have to see. Justin Kemp. Kemp was honestly just... I saw him there. He looked like he would be a great pick for maybe a first baseman or somebody that could have a really good throwing arm. So that's why I picked him. Maybe I can get him started on pitching. Maybe I could teach him a couple things. And if he does end up being a great pitcher, I believe that he will be one of the deadliest ones on the field due to the fact that he can throw the ball so fast with that arm of his. And my last pick ended up being. I have no fuck. Who was it?
Chase Carroll, yeah.
Chase Carollo, my friend.
That's right, Chase Carollo. Now, Chase Carollo, honestly, I was thinking about doing Matthew for a second, but I was like, you know what? Let's switch it up a little bit. Let's hit it with Chase Carollo because Chase, we may have a strong defense, which was definitely one of our game winners throughout the entire season, but we did not have a strong batting roster. Now, Chase really knows how to get some contact on the ball. He knows how to keep that ball alive, and more contact means more hits. So we wanted a good batter, and that's why we picked up Chase.
You know, I do have to agree with the ball contact. You know, because I think he has a lot of work with balls. You know, because he sure knows how to hit them, man.
If we look at last season when Chase Carollo played for the now rebranded St. Louis Trash Pandas, he hit 615 in 7 games, 3 RBIs, and a home run. I mean, that's pretty productive season there.
That is pretty productive with those 3 RBIs.
In 7 games, the on base percentage was one of the best in the league, and he knows how to draw walks very well. On the times that he doesn't get on base, they're usually ground outs, so he's not striking out a lot. There's a lot of potential with that pick.
I could see it as long as he puts the focus in and actually, tries.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was talking to him before the draft, and he seemed like he was really locked in this season. He was talking up a couple things, and you know what? I just saw the vision, and I thought I could give him a chance.
I mean, he has his odd chances, he has his odd outs, but I could see him being a good player to your team. I could see it. I see the vision.
So, Dragan, we're 3-4 days out from opening day. You're leading off against the O-Block Dominators, and then you're playing basically almost a back-to-back, and then you're playing one of the best teams going into this with power rankings, the Bikini Bottoms. What's the strategy here? How are you going to prep your team for this upcoming season?
Now, obviously, we've always just had a super strong defense, so I'm not really strategizing on defense too hard. One of our main issues was offense. We were getting hits and getting on base, but we weren't really getting some good hits off last season. Now, I mean, yeah, we were getting the runs, but if we can get a great hit off and just scatter that defense, we have a lot better chance of getting on base, getting the other team disoriented if they do not know how to work together. And that's honestly the strategy. Now, going along with that, if we're just going to keep on getting batters just over and over again, we want to try to keep it alive as much as possible. Now, coming up with Justin's team is obviously going to be the hardest team in the league. I mean, he has 2 baseball prodigies on that team already, including himself. So it's just going to be hard to get around that. Now, this is why we're focusing on pitching this year and why I want everybody on my team to pitch. Everybody is going to have a different set of skills, and we want the other team to we do not want them to predict our ball at all. So more variety, more pitches, the less they can remember, and it's going to make it harder for them to hit.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good strategy. I can see why you'd want to have a plethora of different pitchers with different throws and different capabilities. They're all are shorter. They could easily read the ball. And I can see that. But are you basing your victories around the fact that we had a shitty games and just bad planning as of last year? Are you basing it off of that, or are you basing it off of pure skill of you having your whole team there while everyone else was scattered?
100% not. Mainly, my team was the best in the league due to our defense. Again, our offense was never the strongest. I never said it was the best, but our defense was top tier. We would close out innings in minutes. We would have sub 3 minute innings sometimes because how
Right.
fast we were striking people out.
Right. William, what was your thoughts on what he was saying, my friend?
So, first of all, with the pitching, I totally get that. Dragan Thompson, second in the league in ERA with 2.787 and 18 innings pitched with 30 strikeouts. And phenomenal season pitching wise. I totally get that. I feel like every team needs a basis of pitching. But Dragan, so preseason power rankings came out. They predicted the Mystic Paladins to go 1-5 and then fourth in the league. How do you expect your team, with only being able to keep Dominic Rosa, bring in two prospects who we haven't even seen play yet, and having the last pick in the draft? How are you going to change the narrative for your team to be one that is a winning team? How are you going to disprove all the expectations that have been set for you?
Now, 100%, I can tell you this right now. There's no way we're going from hero to zero that quick. As much as people want to see that, I'm not going to let it happen. As you guys know, we're bringing in two rookies, but I have a lot of faith in one rookie. The other one, not so much. But I've never seen him play, so we'll just have to see how it goes.
Okay. Thank you. That's Dragan Thompson, captain of the Mystic Paladins. Thank you so much for your time, Dragan.
Of course.
Okay. Have a good night.
Have a good night, man.
Have a good night.
Okay, so Mystic Paladins, like we said, a lot of expectations telling these guys they can't succeed. That they're gonna end fourth in the league, because the talent on the team just is not up to standards. There's a lot that they need to do to prep themselves for this season, but it looks like Captain Dragan Thompson looks very confident in what this team can do, and that this team will come out guns blazing the whole season. So I guess we'll move on next to the O Block Dominators, captained by myself, Will Carroll. First, we kept Jonathan Hargis. We bring in rookie Kyle Rada. We bring back Robert Babel, and then we bring back a free agent, veteran last year, Matt Dillon. The kind of the analysis going into this draft was, like I said, we want to keep the team like it was last year. We had that run last year where we played really well, and the idea was to bring back as many players as possible, and try to keep that team chemistry together, and then improve on our weaknesses. Because last year, if there was one thing we struggled the most with, it was on base percentage. We had some sluggers on our team. We had tons of home runs. We were pitching well, but when it came to being on base, there'd be situations where we get shut out on the offensive side because we just could not get that ball to roll our way. So we go out and we get some hitters, some guys that can play offense to try to bolster that offense a little bit to make it more competent this year. But unfortunately, at the risk of losing that pitching, we saw that we lost Lucas Macon, somebody we really tried to get in that draft. And I feel like we have the opposite issue with the Bikini Bottoms, in the sense that they only have starters and no depth. And the problem with our team is, if you look at how our roster is built, we don't have starting pitchers. We have me, and I can go out there and give some quality minutes. Sean Hargis can do enough. But then Robert Babel, I don't know where we put him. Matt Dillon, same thing. And Kyle Rada, we haven't even seen play because he opted out of spring training. We're kind of in a situation where we have a lot of guys who might be able to pitch, could play quality bench minutes in the bullpen, maybe close out games. But the idea of who's starting right now, we probably won't get until the start of the first game.
You know, I if I remember correctly, John did a pretty good job of pitching when he did pitch. He did quite well in my memory. I enjoyed it when he pitched. It was good to see John do his thing, And
And
I
like I
know,
said, we have tons of guys on our team that are capable. We just need to find out who the guys are going forward that will lead that rotation and will be able to get us in situations where we can win on defense.
yeah, right. I wonder what John's thoughts would be on his pitching capabilities.
Well, there's always room for improvement, and everyone will have to pitch here and there, and we'll see whose our strengths and weaknesses for pitching goes.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is room for improvement, but you, John, there is no improving for you. You're perfect as is. Oh yeah. Anyhow, my team now. No, I'm kidding. Back to Will, bro. What's your outlook?
Yeah, I think so preseason power rankings had us going second in the league, around 3-3 or 4-2. Um and I think those are very realistic expectations. I think if we just go out there and play our game, um like winning half or more than half, we're totally capable of. I think the bats could definitely go that way. I just think if we can get this pitching and this defense down, um, then we won't have games that are 12-11 and we barely squeak out a win. We'll have games where it's 12-0 and we'll just steamroll, and that'll help us as a team get better prepared for the playoffs when they come out.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. You just need to get those bats churned in, my friend. Get the butter be made.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to our last and final team, Alexander Molendines, Texas Ice, come out and get a keeper in Jack Flanagan. Very surprising pick, as Jack Flanagan is technically a rookie this season due to the fact that he did not play a single game last year, yet was kept by the Texas Ice. They go on and draft former player Austin Abney. Matthew Vall gets snatched up in that final round of the draft, and then they get coveted Rule 5 draft player Luke Kelly. Alex, tell us what the thought process was in the draft and how you built your team and what your vision is for this season.
So with my picks, with the exception of Matthew, as he was the last pick, I didn't really think I'd get Matthew. I thought I'd get someone a little worse, but Matthew's always a good keeper because Matthew's good at playing. Matthew's got that style. He's got the flash. He's got the flair. He's just a good person to be having on the team as he keeps his energy up, and he's always good with others. But my thought process behind my draft was, if I keep Jack Flanagan, the rookie, he'll get to learn from all the other veterans that are on the team, Matthew and Austin, as well as Luke Kelly will learn from said veterans as well, and get to learn those skills and hone those skills as they did. Well, not they, sorry, as Jack Flanagan did when we did our 4-on-4, and he was hitting ball after ball after ball, and he really only got out once because he got struck out. He kept the ball in play. He just didn't know the rules yet, which I'll have to explain to him, of course.
Yeah, and there's always a level of growth with prospects where there's growing pains. But what we saw in spring training was definitely something you should feel proud of with your pick. There's definitely talent there that we can see, and definitely potential with that team to grow.
Yeah, I chose all of those players as well because the synergy between them, the enjoyment they have for being in each other's presence, will bring a much happier and better morale for my team and give them a more excitable and more fun way of playing. So if it's more fun for them, then perhaps they'll want to win and try.
Yeah. Well, we talked about all the teams. It looks like we are ready for a great season with the potential to have some great competition. Like I said, March 19th, opening day for the league. We lead off at 4 p.m. with the O-Block Dominators against the Mystic Paladins, a heated rivalry that goes back to last year. And then Bikini Bottoms versus Texas Ice. Two teams recently rebranded, hoping to start their seasons and their legacies with something new. And and you know we I'm excited for how this season's gonna go. I think all the teams know what they need to do to succeed, and yeah, we are out of left field. Thank you for watching, and let's go play ball.